Hi guys, today I'm in conversation with the Iron Lady of Maharashtra, popularly known as the Lady Singham. We are in conversation today with Mokshita Patil, an IPS officer active in field policing since 2011 with a robust execution of law and order regulations in and across the state of Maharashtra. She has a keen interest in policing for public in a democratic setup and is working extensively for gender issues arising in active policing. She is the commandant of State Reserve Police Force in Mumbai today. And I'm going to learn a little bit about her journey as an IPS officer today in this conversation. So thanks for joining us today. Good morning, Mokshita. Thank you for
Good
being
morning.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Why did you choose to become an IPS officer? When, with your intelligence, your command on everything, you could have had a hunky dory, easy job anywhere. Why take up something so difficult, especially a field which is still male dominated? Women are finding their place in this
True.
sector.
So when I was a child, I was relatively good in studies, and my father was city engineer with the Thane Municipal Corporation. So बचपन से ही I was always told to chase UPSC and to become an IS officer or an IPS officer. So that was definitely one of my motivations. As a result of that, after my 10th boards, I chose to pursue humanities. I was a student of St. Xavier's. I studied sociology, and after my graduation, I decided to give it a go, and that's the reason why I took up UPSC. I got selected into the IPS. Very fortunately, I got my parents' cadre, my workplace, that's Maharashtra, and I couldn't be happier. So I decided to stick on, and my journey began.
And what has that journey been like?
Oh, the journey has been quite a roller coaster ride, Ruchira, to be precise. Initially, there was nobody in my family that was a police officer or that was in police, so I didn't know much about policing. Being a girl who grew up in Thane, which is a big city in itself, we didn't really get any chances to interact with police because police ने कभी हमको पकड़ा नहीं. But when I got into the IPS and when I entered my academy, that's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, which is in Hyderabad, that's a time when they make an officer out of you. Till that time, you are an UPSC candidate, you are just a student or an aspirant who gets successful in a competitive exam. But it's the academy that shapes or carves an officer out of you. They train you accordingly in your basic skills, policing, about all the laws and regulations, and a lot of physical activities also, such as swimming, horse riding, firing, daily PT is there. We have to run a lot of cross country marathons also. They try to give us a lot of exposure also. So it's a sum of all the trainings and exposures that makes an IPS officer out of you. So that's the punji, that's the capital which we work on. Whenever I face any daunting challenge or a ethical problem even, I always try to remember my training and what I was taught, what I was trained for. We were always trained to lead the force. They always tried to inculcate leadership values in us. So that makes things easy for me. The journey so far has been very interesting, colorful. Sometimes there were times when one finds oneself to be alone, but I always found that I'm very lucky to be working in Maharashtra, where my society, people of our country, our state, they're very responsive. I have always gotten fantastic response from the people, from society. That gives me the motivation, and that makes the journey very enriching.
So, as a woman in service, I'm sure you faced a lot of challenges because it's still a very male dominated field, and there are so many young girls and young women who are looking up to you. In fact, you are an inspiration, like our hero. Is there anything you would like to share with them? Some challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Ruchira, I would like to tell our society and girls that Nowadays, many girls are entering into not just police but so many other forces or so many other fields that were unexplored before. They are carving out their own path. They are the torch bearers, they are the trailblazers. When we were in academy, we had so many female faculties. We always looked up to them as our role models. Challenges बोलेंगे तो we had challenges जैसे कि if we are in a बंदोबस्त or if there is a law and order issue, there is a small riot, we have to reach the spot and there are no washrooms, etc. But over the period of time in my service, I realized ये चीज़ें मेरे मेल काउंटर पार्ट के पास भी शायद नहीं थी. But now, since past few years, we have the openness. These things are prioritized. Restrooms, washrooms, these things are provided to female staff, not just in police, but in other government offices also. There are separate breastfeeding rooms nowadays available. There are creches available at some police stations even, some offices even. So there is definitely a beginning to solve those issues. Challenges will always remain, but what I appreciate is there is an openness, there is a space where we can talk about those issues.
Oh, that's really lovely to hear, actually, that so much has been provided. We live in this notion of how difficult it has been, and it must be.
It is.
But it's good that a lot of changes are coming across, and that actually shows progress as a country. So, how did you get this title of being the Lady Singham of Maharashtra?
I don't know, Ruchira, you tell me. I don't know where it came from, and I still don't know what it means exactly. How should I take it? But you tell me.
So when I heard that about you, I actually took it very personally as well, because I feel as women in power and in leadership positions, sometimes we have to bring out our harsh side a little bit more to gain respect or to be even heard. I feel like I face the same issue when I'm in a boardroom full of men, or I'm on the field with a lot of people. I have to be a bit stern, even if I don't internally feel the need to be so stern, just to be heard and taken seriously. Did you ever feel like you had to face that challenge?
Yes, definitely. But again, so do some men. All the time we cannot be bringing that aspect into our heads because it will cloud our judgment.
Sure.
It will stop us from being spontaneous. And what they teach us in academy is to be leaders, not
Yeah.
female leaders or male leaders.
True.
They teach us to be leaders with compassion, with discipline, who knows what they are doing. So when I'm doing my job, I know I'm doing my job. And as a woman, if I start taking everything that way, wearing those glasses, life will be difficult for me.
True.
So I believe in being more spontaneous. Yeah.
That's fab, actually. That actually clears so much of my thoughts. What changes did marriage bring into, here we are, say, women, we're taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of our work, and then marriage happens and there's an added responsibility, changes happen. What were those changes for you, and how did that change the way you did your work?
I think in India, marriage is not just between two people. It's a coming together of two families, three, four. Many people get attached to you. Many people get connected truly. So I've been very happy after marriage. What I felt that it was my family, my parents as well as my parents-in-law, that have truly supported the way I conduct my work. Because when I am at work, if I have to put in long hours at odd times, it's been them at the back end taking care of basically my children, my babies, and of me even. Marriage, definitely it gets very there are time constraints because you don't get as much time when you want.
Yeah.
You will get bits and pieces of time dispersed throughout the day, so you have to make most of it. Somehow my husband is in the IAS, so we sort of understand what the other one is going through.
True.
We just have to say 2-3 sentences of an issue and we understand now how his or her whole day is going to be. So that makes things easy sometimes. But I think more than for us, it must be becoming difficult for our families to match pace with our pace.
Yeah.
So I think those questions will ask them sometime. I think because of us, our families have to forego so many festivals, sometimes birthdays even,
Yeah.
some celebrations, weddings. We cannot always be there, especially me because of my job. I cannot just leave and go. When everybody is celebrating, that's the time when we are supposed to be at work.
Yeah.
So can't leave the responsibility also. But my father-in-law was in police. So more than me, initially, they were more happy and proud of my job. He still calls me Kaptan Saab.
So sweet.
So they keep giving me tips, and it's because of them now I know how to survive in this job, how to be rightfully proud of my job. And even my husband, he will first check my uniform before leaving house if everything is in place and if I'm looking prim and proper. I'll just tell one incident. Once we were posted in Jalgaon, and I was additional SP. He was the CEO ZP over there, and my son was a baby. He was not even a year old. मैं पूरा ऑफिस करके आई. I came late 8 o'clock. I just sat to have food. I had one morsel, and call came that some riot has broken out. So Astik was like, leave it, go. I said, let me finish food. I'll eat in like a minute or so, and then I can. No, leave. So that's how the marriage has been.
Wow.
Attend the duty first.
My heart is full of feelings and warm. This thing. Wow, that's really amazing to have that understanding at home of the two families, of your partner.
Yeah, and when my baby was my firstborn son, when he was 10 months old, he was still a breastfeeding baby. And I think, Ruchira, as women, or as women who are talking about these issues, I think I should share this incident. He was just a 10-month-old baby. He was a breastfeeding baby, and I had to go for a jungle training. ऐसे नहीं कि I could avoid it. It had to be done. So it was in the jungles of Andhra Pradesh. So it was a week-long training, jungle training with proper full-on jungle dress,
Gear and everything.
gear and everything. So I kept him home with my mother and with my husband, and they took care of him for 1 week, and I went for jungle training. So there are two things. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And secondly, without family, a sound base of family, no man or no woman can truly do justice to their jobs.
Absolutely true. I totally believe that as well. And in fact, that takes me to my next question. How did motherhood change the way you did your work and the way you felt about work as well?
Motherhood made me so much stronger. It's like कि अब मेरे आगे में कोई नहीं है. Because motherhood gives you so much confidence. It makes you so full of emotions. And I think motherhood changes your brain also. It makes it much more alert. It makes it more effective and more functional, I believe. Motherhood has definitely given me a strength, which is, we think in motherhood after pregnancy, delivery, we'll get weaker bodily. But I think we become stronger. Women become stronger if our focus is on our health, our nutrition, building bodily confidence. I always tell girls and women to keep playing. When we become 14, 15 years old, we stop playing, we stop going out. That definitely depletes our confidence in our bodies. And the way you stand, if you're facing a crowd, you will never have enough of resources. Will always be less than what the situations will demand. But then that's why you are there. So motherhood makes you very good at making use of resources in an optimum way. It gives you so much more stamina and so much energy, and definitely it gives you more compassion also. The way you approach job, then you see कि they will also be having their babies, they will also be having their children, so you become more sympathetic, more connected to their needs, and you try to make the workplace a better environment, better work culture you try to establish. So I think, yeah, motherhood helps actually, and I think mothers are very good employees, mothers are good business people, mothers are good mindfulness coaches also.
Thank you. In fact, there's one story about you that I want to share with everybody, and this is something I learned from you. This was, I think, the first time my kids were invited to Ayman's birthday. And when they came back and you sent pictures, it was such a touching moment actually to even see those photographs, because the birthday party was homemade. You had cooked food by hand and you made the kids play. You were sitting on the floor with all the children around you and feeding them. And the kids came home with a very warm memory of that event. So this was the first time they went, and then every year they attended the party. It was the same thing. You could have definitely gotten any facilities organized, and it could have been like a totally over decorated party and all of it. But what I liked was that it was such a moment of connection for all the children. And when that photograph came, I felt like, why do we drive ourselves mad when we could have actually done this so much better and had fun with the kids?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's something every mother should take home, that your birthday parties, the things you do with your children don't need to be elaborate. It needs to have more connection. And from someone like you to see that was really a true lesson for me.
Thanks.
But I'm sure this journey has a lot of challenges because, like you shared also, your husband is an accomplished person in the system. You hold such a dignified post. You guys are constantly sometimes apart, sometimes in different cities also.
True.
How do you manage the marriage and parenthood with that challenge?
Honestly, Ruchira, we don't know how past 12 years have flown by. There have been times when we have been posted together in one city, one district. There have been times when we had to be in different districts or different cities. So, up until now, it seemed easier because the kids were younger or they were not going to school. But now, as my son is going to the school, now he has made up his friends, he has made up his base, he has his own cricket or lawn tennis, or he has his daily visits for cycling to his friends. And he has been here in Sambhajinagar since past 5 years. So he has friends since nursery.
Wow.
He has spent initial years of his schooling here. So he has friends since nursery, class 1, 2, schools, colony. He has his own base now. So now shifting him and going someplace with him, now it feels daunting. Now it definitely feels challenging. But so far, as parents, I think we have tried to talk to him about it. He knows that it's unavoidable parts of our parents' jobs. We cannot choose our parents. I think he's very well aware of that. My baby, she's still a year old, so she doesn't understand yet. But shuttling between two places definitely takes a toll on babies also. Children have their emotional connections with other people, जैसे people who help us in our house. They are very attached to them also. They are very attached to the school teachers, to the school surroundings. They are very attached to their routines. So the break in the routines is something we will have to work on. But we believe in talking to them, taking them in confidence, without giving them unnecessary details or nitty-gritties about the complexities of our jobs or transfers. We try to take them in confidence, take them with us. And Ruchira, this is a problem that many families in our country face, not just in India but in world also face, because a lot of people have to migrate, a lot of people have to shift and shuttle between countries even. So all of it takes a toll on each one of us as family members. But being parents, that's why we are there for, with little love, with little communication, with little sitting together and spending definitely quality time with each other, we can begin to address the issues. We can be each other's friends first and then parents maybe.
Sure, that's beautiful. In fact, I was going to ask you that study shows that there are two major stresses for children. One being divorce, of course, divorce of parents, and the second being changing schools because it causes a lot of anxiety, making new friends. Will the teachers like me, not like me? Will I be accepted? How will the house be? How will the surroundings be? Lots of like unknowns children are going through, and as they grow older, they get more attached as well. And like you were sharing, you prep them with lots of talking and connection. But I'm sure this is like much harder.
It is
as it goes.
a stressor. It is definitely a stressor, Ruchira. But at the same time, we have so much help and so many resources. We have our parents, we have our family members who will somehow help us make the transition smoother. But there are so many families, there are so many families of my own officers and constables that may not have so much assistance.
Backend, yeah.
They may not have so many back-end resources or facilities. So we always have to look up to them and derive inspiration from how they solve their problems also. Secondly, my husband, he also had to shift and transfer a lot because of his father's job. So he used to, they as a family, they also used to spend 2 hours, 2 years at a place, then 3 years at a place. Then he went to hostel. So he has his own experiences, and somehow because of those experiences, he can make the transition smoother. But it is a stressor. I will agree to that. New places always come with daunting challenges, even for the parents. But I think as parents, first we have to be cool, calm, and collected. So somehow it will affect our children in a positive way and
Yeah.
make the best out of worst also.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really inspirational, actually. So a little lighter question. So when you are at work or you're on duty and training, does Astik ji take homework for the kids?
You should ask him that.
Does he make him do that? Does he take over the studies? Because I know my husband does it. He's like, when mama will come, she'll make you do it, and it'll be more like fun playtime with dad.
No, what he will do is he will sit for 2-3 hours at a stretch and try to finish one whole book in 2-3 hours, or try to make some basics clear. But as a routine, I think I'm more attuned to my children's routines, whether be it at school or for extracurriculars or their health, vaccinations. We have to work in a more systematic, more planned way. So yeah.
So even here, it's the mom's job to get the homework done. What's the one thing you enjoy doing with your kids the most?
Oh, I think being very wild and being unstructured and doing what they want me to do with them. I think we like that. So that could be कहीं से बिल्ली पकड़ के लाए या आज we have to play with dogs या फिर we have to make a lemonade and make it available at the house का gate for मतलब passengers going around. ऐसे कुछ भी मतलब anything unstructured, wild, crazy, we like to do.
That's so
And
beautiful.
waking up with them is the I think highlight of my day. When I wake up before them and look at them sleeping, I think that's a great part of the day. And then I feel अभी उठ जाएंगे और अभी शैतानी शुरू कर देंगे.
Do you and Astik ji have like any ground rules for the kids that these are the must-dos and there's no exception to this?
I have ground rules for all three of them. Ground rules for Astik and for the kids. Some of the ground rules are try to limit junk food, try to limit screen time. Even if you're watching screens or even if you're watching YouTube, say for example, watch something that makes sense and that is age appropriate. We all try to follow bedtime, but I'm only 50% of the time successful in ensuring bedtimes. Yeah, these are the basic ground rules, nothing too much.
And what's your one parenting mantra that you can share with us?
I think all parents must be cool, calm, and collected themselves first, because children, they don't listen to what you're saying, they emulate what you're doing.
True.
So if we are all helter skelter and if we are anxious or worried, they immediately sense it.
Yeah.
So as parents, I think we have to do all that we can to ensure that we are healthy first, cool, calm, and collected first, and then everything will be falling in place sooner or later. Not to stress much.
That is actually, I think, one of the best mantras I've ever heard, because it's so true that we pass on all our anxieties, our stress, worry to our kids because we're anxious for no reason. Like 10 minute late khana khaya, it's not a big deal. So the parent following this cool, calm, collected mantra can totally change the parenting experience. And I'm also taking home the idea of building a community, using the family as a resource pool to help us as leaders, as women who are trying to create change. We need to appreciate our community.
True.
And use the benefit. And definitely Karan's going to get some tips today that Astik ji is so understanding. Thank you, Mokshita, for having this conversation with me today.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I also could think about some topics.
I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you, but I want to end with this one last question. What do you think about the superwoman tag that women easily get?
I think it's an unnecessary tag. जैसे कि why we are supposed to be super women all the time? Being woman is hard by itself. We should have Superman tag now. that we should start trending. Yeah, being a superwoman basically, then it gives rise to a woman's guilt that she has to juggle between all the balls in the air. She has to juggle career and work and her self care and health also. So we can let go of some of that guilt and we have to start talking about it because it's very pressurizing, it's very stressful. One cannot do everything by
Absolutely.
oneself, and as you rightly said, one is part of community. Women are also part of community. We have to support each other. Women have to support each other. Women have to support men also. Men also have to support women. Without community we are nothing. If we are individualistic and if we take the tag of any superman or human being or superwoman, it's very stressful, and
Yeah.
sooner or later it's bound to burn us out. So we don't
Absolutely.
want that. We want to have those conversations now.
Absolutely, I'm in total agreement with that. So yeah, please lead those conversations because we see you as our superwoman, unfortunately. So we see Mokshita Patil as the one who has done it all. You're the Iron Lady of Maharashtra. But if you say this is okay to have some kind of limitations, women,
Yes.
go back to your communities.
Yes.
I think that will be true inspiration for every woman who's designing her life and stepping into leadership positions.
Yes.
Thank you, Mokshita, for having this conversation with me. It has been an enlightening morning. I'm taking home the mantra of cool, calm, and collected. My kids are truly going to appreciate this. Guys, we had this lovely conversation with Mrs. Mokshita Patil. I'm sure you took home certain learnings from this conversation. I'm truly feeling enlightened and I'm going to take home some notes for my husband too. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such inspirational conversations. Stay tuned.